My 29 male best friend Jess, 29F, keeps on mentioning my ex, 29F, in front of my fiancée, and I am thinking of cutting her off. I want to know if I am overreacting, or if Jess is in the wrong. For context, Jess and I went to the same high school and the same college. We were friends in high school. However, since we both went to the same out-of-state college, we became best friends since then. We have always been there for each other during the best and worst times. However, things have always been platonic, and she is more like a big sister to me, who made sure I stay on the right track. I have only been in 2 long-term relationships so far. One was with my ex Lisa for 7 years. We met in college and dated all through our college years. Lisa and Jess also became good friends, too. After college, Lisa and I just grew apart and had different goals in life. I became boring after college as I was working on my PhD while doing a full-time job. Lisa broke up with me as she wanted to party on weekends, while I was home studying. I was heartbroken, but I don't think I ever blamed her or had resentment towards her, as I understood my decisions were selfish and should not hold her back from having the best life. Jess always stood by me and comforted me during that time. Jess and Lisa were good friends, and Jess always kept on telling me that Lisa loves me and will be back one day when I am ready. I foolishly held on to that hope and stayed friends with Lisa. That was until I met my fiancée Yang. After I finished my PhD, I got a nice job in a big tech company. Yang joined our team a year after me. We started going out for drinks and dinner, and we started dating seriously pretty soon. We are happy together and financially in a great place. Needless to say, I stopped talking to Lisa after I started dating Yang. I proposed to Yang a year after we started dating and got engaged last year. Jess has been acting weirdly since we got engaged. One of the first things she said to Yang after we got engaged was how I had planned the same thing for Lisa, proposing on a local hiking trail. It was a bit off-putting that she was bringing up Lisa, whom I broke up with almost 5 years ago, on such a happy occasion. However, Yang asked me to not spoil my mood, as she felt Jess was just commenting on how I had that plan in mind for years. Since then, every time we meet, Jess without fail brings up Lisa and how the things I'm doing are all the things I had planned with Lisa. This happened when we bought a house, planned for vacations, etc. Jess always starts with some nostalgic story and then brings up how Lisa and I were so happy together. She is still good friends with Lisa and keeps giving me updates about Lisa and how great Lisa is doing at work when no one is asking for it. It felt like she was painting a rosy picture of Lisa to Yang and telling Yang that she would always be second to Lisa. Yang told me Jess's comments bothered her, and I also felt the same. I have brought this up with Jess many times and asked her not to do it. However, she says she will try, but since I dated Lisa for 7 years, she would be part of many stories from the past. Also, she asked me why talking about Lisa bothers me and if I still have feelings for her. I have reduced hanging out with Jess. However, she is close with my mom and is always invited to all our family parties and holidays. I talked to my mom and sister about this and they feel I am overreacting. They feel Jess is just telling stories, and since the stories are mostly from college days and later, Lisa will be a character in the story. They also feel I should not be bothered by Jess mentioning Lisa since we broke up a long time ago. I feel that it's disrespectful to Yang, as she doesn't need to hear about all the fun Lisa and I had when we were together and how we were planning to get married. Do you think I am the asshole to stop here, or Jess is truly acting out of line? Update 1. I wrote a post a month ago regarding my friend Jess mentioning my ex constantly in front of my fiancé. Thanks to everyone who commented, and how inappropriate it was. However, the last month has been nothing but crazy and I'm still trying to make sense of what happened so far. After my post, I decided to talk to Jess and gave her an ultimatum not to speak about my ex Lisa again. I know Jess and Lisa are still friends, but I was uncomfortable of her comparing my fiancé Yang with Lisa all the time. I broke up with Lisa 5 years ago, and she is nothing but a faint memory in my past. Jess kept on defending herself and telling me that I was with Lisa for most of my adult life and it's hard to tell any stories from the past without including her. She also blamed me for being emotionally childish and just forgetting about Lisa when she was with me for 7 years. Finally, Jess agreed that she will not bring up Lisa in front of Yang, and I should also not treat Lisa as she does not exist since she is still Jess's friend. I informed Yang about our conversation. Although she was appreciative about it, she said I did not need to do it, and she knows how much I love her, and every time Jess brings up my Lisa, she feels sorry for Lisa that she let a guy like me go. Yang went to visit China 2 weeks ago for a month as we plan to get married in her hometown. She is taking care of her shopping as well as preparations for the wedding. Jess invited me to her house that Friday for dinner as I was home alone. I am also good friends with her husband, and we were all just chatting and drinking in the living room. Around 7:30 p.m., the doorbell rang, and Jess excitedly went to open the door. To my surprise, it was fucking Lisa at the door. She was all dressed up as if she were ready for a date and came in. I had not seen her in person for almost 3 years and I was shocked to see her. She sat down and started making small talk with me. I was extremely uncomfortable and went into the kitchen to talk to Jess. I was angry at her and asked her what was going on. She kept on telling me that it's been 5 years since the breakup and to get over it and be nice to Lisa. She said Lisa was excited to meet me and she thought we were all adults and could have one fun evening together. We had a fight and I told her that she should not have invited Lisa after our conversation the other day and I do not want to be friends with her anymore. I went into the living room and politely excused myself and told everyone that I had a work emergency and had to leave early. Lisa looked sad, but I genuinely felt uncomfortable to be made to hang out with my ex without my consent. I came home and called Yang. I have never seen her more furious, and she told me she is not comfortable with Jess anymore as she has some agenda that we do not know about. It's different to talk about Lisa, but to invite her without consulting is not okay. I also felt the same and I called Jess the next day and told her that she crossed a line, and I was terribly upset with her. I stopped taking her calls and ghosted her. I also told my mom and sister about the whole incident. Last Sunday, my mom called me for lunch. When I got there, I saw Jess was already there. I told my mom that I do not want to talk to Jess and can't stay. However, she asked me to sit as they all wanted to talk to me. I have a glutton for punishment and decided to hear them out. My mom started with how Jess has been there for me all these years and only has my best interest at heart. She kept on telling me that they are the three people, mom, sister, and Jess, that love me the most. Jess started saying how she felt that I was making a big mistake in not having to hear what Lisa had to say. She told me that Lisa was my first love and Lisa is now ready to settle down and we can pick where we left off. She reminded me how broken I was when Lisa left me and how life is giving me a second chance. My sister also chimed in and said how they all liked Lisa more than Yang and how we both looked so great together. Finally, my mom started saying how our culture was so different than Yang and it is hard for them to relate to her. I asked them in what way, and my mom said that they did not understand what Yang says sometimes and have nothing in common with her. Then my mom asked me to think about how Lisa and I would have such wonderful looking kids, while if I marry Yang, our kids will look so different. I started getting their drift and I probed more. My mom told me how our kids would look Asian with small eyes and not like any others in the family. I asked my mom if she cared about my kids' looks more and not about how smart they will be since Yang has a PhD. She blew it off, and I realized she just did not want me to marry Yang because she was Chinese and not white. My mom told me to forgive Jess and my mom asked Jess to talk to Lisa on my behalf and asked her if she would be interested in getting back together with me. My mom was adamant that since I loved Lisa so much, I should be happy and pick up things where we left off as that is the best for everyone. I have never been so angry and may have said a lot of unkind things to all of them before I left. I am so depressed right now. I not only lost my best friend, but also am not sure how I can move on from what my mom said. My mom and sister raised me and that is the reason where I am today. However, I cannot get over how racist they are being and how they were just pretending to like Yang all these years while actively working on breaking us up. I have been so shocked that I have not told any of this to Yang so far. I might wait for her to come back next week and talk to her in person. Update 2. I wrote an update 2 weeks ago about my mom, sister and Jess scheming about trying to get me back with my ex Lisa because they were uncomfortable with Yang being Chinese. They tried to do it when my fiancée was visiting her parents and I felt so betrayed by their actions. As I said in the previous post, I blew up on my mom and sister about what they said and immediately left. I did not take calls from them or answer texts for the next several days. Their messages initially were anger towards me on why I left before they could finish what they wanted to say. However, I think they realized on day 3 that they might have crossed the line this time and became extremely apologetic. I finally messaged them to leave me alone and not to contact Yang or I until we contact them. Jess did not message me the whole time. I did not tell Yang about the situation until she came back home 9 days ago. I initially did not know how to bring up the subject, but she sensed something was wrong and asked me about it. I was so worried about hurting her, but I told her about what happened. I was upfront about the stunt Jess pulled and she was angry at Jess. I also told her about my visit to my mother's place, but she did not react with any anger. She just asked me if I was okay. The next few days were confusing where I was more upset than Yang. She was just excited showing me all pictures and telling me stories. Finally, on last Thursday evening, she opened up and asked me if I was okay about my mom's behavior and what I planned to do. I told her my thoughts and how I cannot forgive them for what they said about her being Asian and them wanting me to marry Elisa because she was white. I asked her why she was not more upset as it was bothering me. She told me that when she told her parents about me, they had the exact same reaction for her dating someone who was not Chinese. Her family is very traditional, and her parents were very upset about her decision. It took them a few months to warm up to me and accept me. She never told me about this because she wanted me to have good relationship with her parents. She told me that now they are the most excited doing arrangements for our wedding. She told me that she has always felt something was off when she talked to my mom, my sister or Jess and they did not like her. My mom and sister would be very friendly with her in front of me, but never invited her for anything when I am not around. She suspected that it may be due to the fact that she is not white and does not understand the American traditions. She said she is not upset with them and now that this is in the open, she should talk to them and assure them that she would be as good of a wife as Lisa or any other girl. She said that she does not want to break a family in order to start a new one. Despite my protests, Yang invited my mom and sister for lunch on Sunday. She said that it would be good for us to talk about everything and hear why they are concerned about her marrying me. I was really not happy with this, but Yang spent most of Sunday morning cooking for them. When my mom and sister arrived, there were a lot of waterworks and apologies. My mom apologized to Yang and me for her behavior and told us that she would never bring it up again. My sister also was quiet and had tears in her eyes. There were a lot of blame games. My mom and my sister were blaming Jess for constantly telling them how Yang might not be great for me and how she won't fit into our family. My mom and sister fought with Jess after I left and Jess blamed Lisa. Based on Jess's story, Lisa has been depressed for the last few years, and when I suddenly got engaged to Yang, it became worse. Jess thought I was also depressed after Lisa left me, because I did not date anyone for 3 years. In reality, I just wanted to focus on my work and studies and never had time. So, Lisa convinced Jess that she has to get back together with me, as that is what I wanted too. Jess said how sorry she felt for Lisa as she was her longtime friend and listened to her plan as she thought it was good for everyone. My mom and sister told us that I should stay away from Jess because she orchestrated the whole situation. They kept on hugging Yang and apologizing to her. Yang in turn also started crying and telling them that she will do better to fit in with them. It was all a big mess. I am still skeptical of my mom's change in heart, but I also want to see Yang happy. However, I think it will take a lot of time and healing before I could truly trust my mom and sister. Currently, my mom invited us to lunch at her place next week and told me that Jess will not be there. Jess has still not messaged me or Yang. I really don't know what I can do in this situation. I am still upset and furious at my mom, but I also want to respect Yang's effort to keep the family together. Now on to second story. Close friend keeps hosting adult-only parties that turn into kid-centric events, and I need advice on how to address this without hurting her feelings. I 31F have a close friend of 35F whose adult-only parties are offending people. I would love a real adult-only party where adults can talk and have conversations without kids interfering. She ain't doing that. She is having a whole party for everyone to focus on her kids only. I need to know how to address this with her. This happened 2 times so far. The first time, we pretty much all assumed that she had to have planned for childcare that must have backed out or something, but since we weren't sure, we didn't ask her. I think everyone felt awkward believing they were paying babysitters for an adult night and then having to have her kids at the dinner table, and them very actively part of the evening needing to be entertained, 2 young kids. Then, it happened again. She sent out events for a dinner party in the evening with adults only on the invitation. Then, when we got there, she had set up all these kids' games everywhere. She arranged the night around everyone kind of playing with her kids, and I could tell everyone felt awkward because people just wanted to have an adult night talking. But she had promised the kids that everyone would participate in the games they had set up and asked everyone if they wouldn't mind playing with the kids. I know that several people who attended the last event were very bothered by having to do this. People were whispering on the side about how they had to pay a babysitter for the night and would have rather bring their kid along, and the kids could have just played games together if it's a family event. We barely ever pay a sitter, so I was kind of confused about why I had to spend my very limited babysitter funds on a night that I didn't even get to talk much with other adults because the kids were for sure the center of the evening. She even stopped everyone to gather around to look at the kids' recent art projects and tell stories and sing. Is this normal in other circles? What would you do if this was your friend? If I do say something, how would you explain this so that the person isn't mad or feels like you just don't like their kid? She was mad because everyone left early and she had catered the event, but I think people didn't want to stay and preferred to just go back to their kids because they felt a little disrespected by the way things went. People are saying they don't want to hang out with her anymore. I'd what to do. I can't explain like her entire personality, but I don't think she is actively manipulating because she is a very kind and considerate person in all other ways. It's like she truly isn't realizing that people are bothered. I don't know if it is because she thinks we all love her kids so much that we want to spend quality time with them without our own kids distracting us. We do love her kids. But I prefer to also bring my own kids so they can all play together. I thought she also loved my kid and would want them to be there to play as well. If that's not the case, then I guess the friendship would be over. Update 1. I never expected so many people would have been interested in his situation, but I think it helps me feel vindicated that the situation was just as strange as I had perceived it to be. I wanted to wait for the kids to get back into school so we could discuss it in person. And luckily I didn't even have to bring it up because someone else did bring it up to her, and she was eager to tell me that people were mad and she didn't know what the problem is with what she did. I was able to get through to her. I'll call her Katie in this post, and also understand her perspective, understand, not agree with, which I'll try to explain here the best I can. I cannot remember every detail of the conversation but can paraphrase all the key parts. She had been upset because one of our friends, Molly, was taking care of her toddler while Katie's kid kept trying to show her something. Katie noticed this and felt bad that her daughter just wants to share things with people she thinks of as her family/aunts. We are just friends, but the kids call each other aunts and each other's kids cousins, so she wanted to build a stronger relationship between her kids and her close friends. She thought that spending time with her kids away from our kids would be the way for us to show her kids better attention. This is especially important to her because she is an only child, her parents are dead, her husband is an only child and his parents are dead. Her children have no biological family. She is worried about what will happen to them if she died, etc. Her mom died when she was a teenager and she feels anxious about her health. She doesn't feel that other people's kids need this same type of bond with her because our kids have biological aunts, uncles, and cousins. She thinks they should be able to go spend time with their biological family and assumed that we were all sending our kids to our family and not paying a babysitter. She has no understanding of what it's actually like and romanticizes it. She was shocked to find that my siblings don't just drop their lives to babysit my kid. People who have siblings still pay babysitters, and did for her parties. She feels that she paid for all the food and wine and that alone should cover the expense of the babysitter even if we did pay one. She knows that paying a sitter plus dinner would still cost more since she catered everything from a very expensive place and we should have just been happy to get free food and drink, and if playing some kids game is the price for that, it's not a bad price. Essentially, she argued at first that if someone pays for everything, they can decide, and if we want a different type of gathering we can foot the bill and throw that gathering. Now, how I handled this. That last note did eventually change to a more understanding perspective as I explained more and more about how even though she is technically right, she cannot maintain strong friendships with this mindset. You cannot provide meals for people with strings attached and deception involved, we didn't know until we got there, and expect us to love it. She can do whatever she likes, but people can also end a friendship if they like, so she is free to do it but not free from the consequences of it. I also was very clear to her that if her goal is to get stronger bonds for her kids, the way to do that is to love and bond with our kids and include them. That part seemed to be totally unexpected to her. I had to explain that people will be so upset by the fact that she isn't including their kids in kid events or isn't accepting that a parent needs to take care of their own kid first before focusing on hers that they won't even want to be part of her family because that isn't what a family is. My sister doesn't expect me to leave my kid behind and be only with my nephews. My sister would never tell me to not bring my daughter to a family event because she loves my daughter and that makes me love her and my nephews even more. I had to explain all this. Lastly, she is rich and did grow you. Rich, and as the only child she admits that she struggles to see things from other perspectives or to consider others' feelings, and she has to make a conscious attempt to really see outside of her own wants and needs. She said she even talks about this in therapy and that's why she goes out of her way to do nice things for us. I put some examples of her acts of kindness in the original post, because that's her way of trying to actively be a generous and caring person. She did cry as expected, especially when she was talking about her kids not having any family and her mom and dad dying, and I'm very glad I did not mention it at the parties like everyone suggested, because I would have never wanted her to do that in front of people. It goes deep and she needs therapy to continue working on it. Overall, she did come around to the realization that she needs to alter her way of thinking about it and do things differently if she wants to achieve what she claims. She continued to reiterate how much her kids love me, and how much she does love my kid too. She said she wants to do things the right way, she just is frustrated because what makes sense to her doesn't make sense to other people, but she accepts that it's her who will need to fix her way of thinking. A lot of crying and some arguing, but overall, it does appear that we are still friends. We hugged, and she said she is going to do something nice for everyone and their kids. If anyone still has questions about specific things said, I can try to answer in comments. Appreciate everyone's help. I felt much better going into it knowing that I was not wrong for standing my ground on this. It went as well as I could hope. Tough at first but cooled down and became more emotional than an argument. I think she needs to continue therapy about her parents because she is holding on to a lot about her mom dying and her dad just used money to take the place of raising her after she died. Then he died too. There are some things that money can't buy, in this case social awareness.